Hey, my friend, I hope your week is starting off right. So, we're going to be talking about something this week that has really plagued me in the past, and I am assuming that it's probably plagued you to some extent as well. We're going to be talking about deadlines. And in my past, I have set deadlines over and over again, and I don't end up meeting them. And what that does to my self-esteem, it really starts to make you think that you just can't follow through. At least that's what I used to think about myself. And every time a deadline would pass, it just made me want to set less deadlines because all it was doing was causing damage to my psychology. So rather than just give up, at some point I decided I was going to start doing research on why deadlines fail, why people don't reach deadlines. And what I found was that usually there isn't a framework or a foundation under that deadline to get someone to follow through, right? They simply just say one day, hey, I'd like to have this done by X date. That sounds nice, so I'm going to set a deadline. And that's really setting yourself up for failure, and it set me up for failure many times. I can't tell you how many times I said, okay, I'm going to do this by X date, and then I just didn't do it. And it's embarrassing to talk about because I was coming from such a weak place just by saying, okay, I'm going to get this done by X date. What I'm going to show you today is a framework that I have created through research of many other productivity and psychology experts. It really compels a person to move towards a deadline and be certain that they're going to complete it by X date. And it uses the acronym DEAD. See, to me, the idea behind the word deadline is that if you don't have it done by this time, you're dead. And whenever you look at deadlines you set, I don't know about you, but mine, there were really no huge repercussions if I didn't have that deadline met. And so this acronym DEAD, it utilizes every tool possible to compel you to move forward towards a deadline, but not only compel you, to give you the right strategy to set the deadline and make sure that you can hit it in that time frame. So I hope that that thing that you're wanting to accomplish that you just haven't been able to get done, that today you say enough is enough, and that you follow this framework to the T, and you set that goal up as a deadline using this framework, and you'll be able to get it done. It's foolproof. So I hope you enjoy the training. We'll talk to you there. See you in the training. All right, guys, so let's crush this thing. This is making sure you're set up for success anytime you want to set a deadline to reach a goal. And again, it's the acronym DEAD. So let's kick this thing. Number one, the first D is decode the goal. What do I mean by that? The biggest failure for most people in setting a deadline is they have this massive goal and they set one deadline. And what happens, there's so many things that need to happen between the setting of the goal and the actual deadline that it's very easy to get lost in what has to be done in order to reach that goal. And that goal can seem very overwhelming. Like I said, it's normally the number one problem people have with setting a deadline. So you decode the goal. You break it down and you figure out what is it actually going to take in order to get this goal accomplished. And then chances are you're going to be setting a sub-goal for that deadline so that you know really what you need to do for the most part in order to reach that goal, also making it easier to set the date of the deadline because it's decoded, it's a little bit demystified. So that's number one. If you do that, you're already way ahead because that is the number one problem most people have with setting deadlines. Decode the goal. E is explicit positives and negatives. This is where you really decide what the why is, okay? The positives, if you finish and if you complete the deadline on time, what are the positives that will happen? What will it do for you? How will it move you forward? How will it make you feel? The negatives, if you don't reach the deadline, okay? What will this do? What will it cause to happen? If you never reached the deadline, what would happen? It really gives you the why. Why are you doing this? What's the reason for it? that major motivator that's going to inspire you and move you forward. You have to have that and remind yourself of that to have the push, right? To be pulled to try to accomplish something rather than feel like someone is pushing you. So E is explicit, positives, and negatives. Get the why really, really clear, okay? A is accountability, appointment. Now, the reason I say appointment is because many people will either first, they'll go out and ask somebody to hold them accountable for a goal. People got their own lives, right? People got their own things going on. They got their own goals they're trying to reach. So the easiest thing to do is just say at the date of the deadline, let's schedule an appointment for coffee or for me to take you to lunch or take you to dinner. And let me tell you why. I have this goal I'm trying to accomplish, and this is the date when it's supposed to be done. Now, it's going to be very easy for that person to hold you accountable because you know when you have that meeting that they're going to be asking you about it. That's your reason for being there. It also, number two, allows you to have a celebration during that time. We need to celebrate those small successes. That's just another small motivation to move us forward. The other thing is many people, and this is really the number two problem that people have setting deadlines, is they tell everybody about the deadline or the goal. They do that so everybody holds them accountable. Psychology shows us that's a huge mistake because for most of us, one of the major compulsions of completing a goal is to receive the respect and the acknowledgement of the people around us. And what happens if we go ahead and tell everybody about the goal, what it does is it takes that away from us. It takes that gift away from us. Because if you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 6 months, right? In 6 months, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And everybody's like, wow, that's great. That's awesome. Go for it. You've already kind of received that as if you've accomplished it, even if you haven't. And it's crazy, but research shows that we kind of get that fulfillment as if we've already done something we haven't done. So you rob yourself of that gift of getting that respect and admiration and acknowledgement and driving towards that by not telling many people. So this idea of a accountability appointment means that one person or just as few people as possible know about your goal so that you get to tell everybody about it later when you've accomplished it. So A is accountability appointment. And then D, the final D, is dead triggers. Set dead triggers. Now, if you think of the word deadline, the idea is if you don't reach the deadline, you're dead, okay? If you don't get this accomplished on time, you're dead. Now, we don't look at it that way much anymore. And if you look at deadlines you have set, it probably hasn't been set up with that kind of, has to be doneness to it, right? It hasn't been set as like, this is do or die. And so to get back to that original idea of the word, we set dead triggers. What can this be? One can be that you have a client or a friend that reaching this goal will impact. And even though you're not telling them what the goal is, there's something that they might receive from that. And so you go to this person and you say, hey, I'm going to get you this on X date. You're not telling them what the goal is for the deadline. You just know that if you complete that deadline, they get X, okay? So then you lose respect, right? And you lose credibility if you don't reach the goal. Another dead trigger is the charity trigger. This is a great one. You say to a friend, you go to somebody who works at a charity, and you say, this is a goal I'm trying to accomplish, and if I haven't reached it by the deadline date, I'm going to give your charity X amount of dollars. And the key here is it has to be an amount that's high enough that it causes you pain. And if it comes to that date and you haven't reached that goal, and this person asks you that you ask them to schedule it, and they ask you about it, it's very hard to say, no, I didn't reach my goal, but I'm not going to give money to charity, okay? You're pretty much evil at that point, so it's a really good trigger. And those are just a couple examples of dead triggers, but there's all kinds of dead triggers you can set. The more that you can set, the more it shows that you're really serious about reaching the goal. So DEAD, decode the goal, explicit positives and negatives, get clear about that. A, that appointment, that accountability appointment, and then D is to set dead triggers. What this does for you, it does two things. Number one, it really draws into your psychology of what's going to get you to excel and get you to meet this deadline this time. But not only does it get you into the psychology of that and pull you forward, it also gets you the tools that you need, the strategy you need in order to accomplish it. So take this and run with it. Please leave a comment below and let me know if you feel like I missed anything, if there's anything else that needed to be said. If you like this video, if you didn't like it, at stonevlog.com. Just leave a comment below, let me know what you think. Whatever you do this week, my friend, remember, do two things with it because it is a gift. Be both purposeful and productive. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. Did you like this video? Would you like to make sure that you apply it to your daily life? If so, go to stonevlog.com, click blueprints, and download the blueprint for this video so you can really apply it. It's going to give you really the meat of what was discussed here today, and then it's more importantly going to give you your 7-day challenge. This is the part that really makes this applicable and makes you a doer more than just a hearer. So go check it out. That will also subscribe you so you receive these videos in your inbox every week so that you can continue to grow, continue to have deeper purpose and higher productivity and become more. Thanks so much. Have a great day.